Hello, hello. Welcome to What's Working Now. I am your excited, enthusiastic host, Katie Richardson. Here we are talking about crypto, specifically NFTs, with the incredible, amazing Erin Cell. Erin has been in the blockchain and cryptocurrency industry since 2018 as the producer for the Bad Crypto podcast and the Nifty Show. In early 2022, she launched a new YouTube channel and podcast, the Nifty Chicks, with her co-host, Jen FT. The Nifty Chicks show is focused on shining a light on women in the NFT space. Erin has spoken internationally on NFTs and crypto events, including NFT NYC, NFT London, and NFC Lisbon. Her focus has been on bringing more women into the NFT space. Erin, welcome to the show.
Hi, Katie. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, for anybody who can't see Erin right now, like you're surrounded by, I'm guessing, all this NFT art behind you. Is that what's behind you?
Yes. These are just a small part of my collection.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to dive into NFTs with you. I think in a lot of ways, they're very misunderstood and unknown. And so excited to hear your perspective. And before we dive into that, I want to give people a sense for Erin Cell, who you are, how you got to where you are. So tell us the story of an experience that has really formed and shaped this unique perspective that you have.
Well, so I love this question. And I guess my story would be, it would start, let's see, probably about 10-ish years ago. And basically, I just had some major life things happen, as many of us do. In 2000, I guess it would have been 2010, my stepdad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and it was, horribly challenging for everyone in our family and all of that. And he ultimately passed away shortly after. Actually, it wasn't that long of a battle, because pancreatic cancer is all cancer is horrible, but it's one of those that's really bad. And then after he passed away, a year later, my grandmother passed away, pretty unexpectedly. We thought she had a stroke, and it ended up being a brain tumor. And so she was gone in like a month. And so, it was just like these huge life things that were just big and heavy, right?
Yeah.
And it really made me realize that life is short, and you never know when your time is going to come. And at the time, I was working in corporate America, and I absolutely hated my job. And was pretty much like on my way to work every day crying because I didn't want to go to work. And then some of the people that I worked with were just miserable. And I kept seeing myself as that person in 20 years from now. And I did not want to be that person. So, basically what I did was, I found a way to quit that job and decided to take control of my life. And honestly, it's 100% changed everything about the direction of my life. And we both live here in Puerto Rico, and I never in a million years expected that I would be living in Puerto Rico on an island in, tropical paradise. But I know that by making that change of leaving something that made me miserable, it 100% led me in this direction of finding a life that I wanted to live. And, basically I now live a life that I do what I want when I want. I work from wherever I want. I travel. Yesterday I was on the golf course and then went and played pickleball. And I really
You're going on a cruise soon.
am going on a cruise on Friday. So I think that by making choices in your life, like everybody has a choice as to what they want to be or how they want to live. And I think that, a lot of people choose to stay stuck in wherever or whatever it is, that they're stuck in. And you really just have to make a choice to do what you want. So,
Erin, I really appreciate you calling out the significance of our choices. And while the passing of your stepfather and your grandmother must have been absolutely devastating, the beautiful gift that came out of that pain was this asking yourself these questions, looking 20 years into the future, saying, am I okay still being in this job 20 years from now and being one of those griping employees? No, I'm not okay with that. And that's when you really took this moment to take ownership for your choices, which again could be really uncomfortable, right? We can create all kinds of stories and excuses why I'm the exception to the rule and I don't actually have an option in life and I just have to do what I need to do. And, these moments, these awakening moments where you really take ownership for your life are really when people start to see massive transformation. And yours has evolved to being in Puerto Rico. I mean, we met at a neighbor's Halloween party, living in paradise, which is fantastic. And ultimately being in control of your life, making decisions for where you're spending your time, how you're spending your time. And, that gap in between, right? That realization that I'm miserable at my job and something has to change, and then actually doing it, that is a scary, sometimes pit of despair, right? Where it's extremely uncomfortable. It's not easy to bridge that gap and go from living kind of the traditional corporate life versus fully owning your finances, your income, and how you're spending your time. It sounds really glamorous, but making that shift, it's not easy. So what were some of the first things that you did to make that shift? And then I want to jump into NFTs, but I'm really curious, how did you actually make that shift?
Well, for me, it started with my stepdad because he, passed from pancreatic cancer. And I actually started volunteering with the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. And when I did that, basically they needed somebody to help with their social media. So I started running, all of their social media. So I was doing that for a couple years. And because my background is marketing and I have a master's in marketing. And so social media just kind of came, second nature to me. And so I was trying to figure out, okay, if I'm gonna do this and leave my job, I mean, there were a few things that went into it. I started Airbnb being my basement. So that basically covered my mortgage. So then I just needed enough for, the rest. And so I started basically put myself out there that I could help businesses with their social media. So I launched my company, Socially Powered. And it was actually, this story it's one of my favorite stories. So I had gone to this person in the past for learning to meditate. She's a clairvoyant, and I've had readings from her in the past. And I put it out there on social, that I was starting this company. And so she messaged me, we had just connected randomly on LinkedIn of all places. And she's like, wait, are you still doing social media? And I'm like, yeah. And so she ended up being one of my very first clients, and I worked with her for a really long time. So it was just really cool to be able to have one of my favorite people that I actually went and worked with that then became my client and was my ideal client for many years. So
yeah. And it started.
Yep. So it started with one, and then, once you're out there, it just more came in, and And before you know it, I had a business.
Yeah. Yeah. And it continues to evolve, right? Like
Yep.
you are this marketing social media strategist and have started to really kind of specialize in the NFT space. And you have developed multiple podcasts and speaking on stages to do this. So let's dive into the whole topic of NFT. Most people are familiar with NFT as, weird, strange, ugly art that young crypto kids are diving into. And I know it's so much more than that. So share with the audience why the NFT space is so important and powerful.
Yeah. So just a little bit more background, which I know you mentioned in my, there's a little floaty. But so I was doing social media, right? And my partner started getting really into crypto, and I was basically rolling my eyes at him every time he was talking about it. I'm like, this is dumb. And what are you doing? And then he kept talking about it. So then him and his co-host decided to start the show, the Bad Crypto Podcast. And so they were doing that for a few months. And then they decided that they wanted help with their social media. And so he was like, oh, well, I may know somebody who could help. So he asked me to take over their social. And I was like, okay, I can do this. So of course, through that process, I had to listen to their shows in order to know what to talk about, because I knew nothing about cryptocurrency. And so I would mostly just listen to the shows just to have something to say on social about it.
And what year was that you were starting?
That would have been 2018, like early 2018.
Okay.
And so I did that for some months, and then, they were going to different crypto conferences, and sometimes they'd be in cool places that I was like, oh, I want to go there. And so then I would go with them to these conferences, and basically what that positioned me for was to take over as their producer. So I started producing the show later, and I think it would have been 2018. And then that really kind of just, I guess, started the ball rolling for me in crypto. And so then NFTs didn't really come into it until I would say like 2020, 2019, 2020.
Okay.
For me, when the first time I ever heard the guys talking about NFTs, they were talking about crypto kitties. And I thought that was quite possibly the dumbest thing ever, that people were paying money to buy these crypto kitties that then they could breed and make kittens. And I was just like, okay, this is so dumb. And then, fast forward to today, and now I have, probably, I don't even know how many NFTs I have at this point. But with NFTs, the thing that what really drew me in the first time I started to actually care about them was because it hit a chord with me. The first NFTs that I really bought were Garbage Pail Kids. And I don't know if you've heard of Garbage Pail Kids.
I remember. I was born in 1980. So
okay,
I know.
So I collected them when I was a kid. I had like books with pages, I'd put my little cards in there. And so I loved Garbage Pail Kids, and Topps came out with NFTs of Garbage Pail Kids. And I was like, well, now I get it. I need to have this. And so that was what I first, started collecting. And, then other things came out, other NFT projects, and none of them really spoke to me. So I kind of, I would get some here and there, but then we ended up moving to Puerto Rico, and I met Jen FT, my co-host, and she was super interested in learning about NFTs. So she came over, we had dinner, we talked NFTs, and, she had all these questions. And one of the things that once she started really diving into it, she was like, oh my gosh, these women-led projects, and there's not very many of them, and there should be more of them. And so we really started looking into all these women-led projects, women artists, started talking about it. And then, the more we talked about it, we're like, there's not enough women in the NFT space. And it definitely, this is something I say whenever I'm speaking at a conference. I feel like, so when you go to crypto conferences or NFT conferences, you will notice there are a lot more men in attendance than women. And one of the first conferences I went to was in Las Vegas. And I remember it was a Halloween party, and everybody's there dressed up. And I walked into the women's bathroom in a Las Vegas hotel, and there was, how big the bathrooms are in Vegas, and there was not a single other woman in there.
Wow.
And I was just like, this is crazy. Like, you don't ever go into a bathroom in Las Vegas and there's not another woman in there. Yeah. And so I was like, we have to change this. And so it's basically what I reference all the time, is that, we need to have lines for the women's room at crypto conferences. And it is funny because there will be lines for the guys' room. We go to this event in Denver, or at least we did when we lived there, and East Denver. There would be lines out the door for the men's room, and you could just breeze right in to the women's restroom. So basically, this is where Jenna and I decided that we needed to start a podcast and feature women-led projects and women artists, and women that are running these projects, and really help women understand the importance of NFTs and why they need to pay attention to it.
Yeah, it's so smart to start a podcast, because when you have a unique message like this that is different than what most people are sharing and saying, then you need some way to get that message out there, and some way to build an audience. And, as we are building a business, it's really important for us to differentiate ourselves. And you had the awareness to notice that there were no women in this space. And that meant that you had an opportunity to come in and dominate and own the women in NFT space. And that's a really exciting time, because as I believe, NFTs and cryptos are just getting started. And I know that right now things are kind of down, but that's okay. It's like a selling cycle, and we can just get more, and it's going to continue to grow. And that, our existing financial structures are just broken. They are. And blockchain is no question our future. And there's so much utility with NFTs. And so you've jumped in and established yourself, you and your partner, GenFT, which is such a fun name, by the way, and the Nifty Chicks. And you are really kind of creating this rally cry that, this is a space for women too. And so share with us a little bit the uniqueness to NFTs. We see that there's definitely art associated with it, but there's also tremendous utility. And can you share with us the world of NFTs beyond the art? Because a lot of times that's all that people see, and it's cool, it's awesome, it's great, but what else gives it purpose and utility?
There's so many things. And this is what I guess gets me really fired up about NFTs. And it's the variety of options, opportunities, things that you can do with. I'm looking back here thinking about all these different projects and what different things they offer. So I don't have it up here, but this one is my BFF, you. And one of the things that they do that I absolutely love is they have giveaways all the time. So you can go in and sign up for raffles, basically, for things that they give away. And I've won all kinds of things. I mean, it could be as simple as you get access to purchase another project's NFT early. I won this really cool bag that they partnered with. I looked it up. It ended up being like an $800 bag. So I have this, I probably paid $100 for this NFT, and in reward for winning, I got an $800 bag. It could be like access to events. So for example, I went to this event. So this one is Wow G, World of Women. And they have big events that they put on. So they did an event in New York at NFT NYC. Unfortunately, I didn't get tickets to that one, but they had Madonna perform. And if you got access, to the event, you could, and it was a very intimate event. Like you would never see Madonna in this small of a venue. But they did a gala event in Miami for Art Basel, just a few weeks ago. I'm trying to think there's so many things that you can do. Just even access to communities. I've won like access for trainings, like to learn more about Web3 and creating NFTs, creating your own project. There's a project that we actually just had on our show, First Ape Wives Club, and they are partnering with luxury travel. So if you own one of their NFTs, then you can go on these adventures and stay in, luxurious hotels and get discounts and get all these perks that you wouldn't necessarily get if you didn't own the NFT. So that's one. I know there's other NFTs that have done similar things, that if you own this NFT, you can stay at a particular, mansion in whatever city it's in. But there's so many other like things that I think that we will see happen eventually. For example, like think about like your driver's license or your passport. And one thing that people always talk about is, for example, like driver's license. There's a lot of information on your driver's license that people, like if you go to a bar or you're, trying to buy alcohol, they don't need to know your address and your height and your weight and all they need to know is it you? And is this, are you over 21? So I think what we're going to see is more like digital identity. Like you're going to be able to buy and sell houses on the blockchain and eliminate a lot of the middlemen that, have their hands, because honestly, that's all it is it's being able to confirm that you own this. And then when you sell it to somebody else, you're confirming, okay, I'm selling this for this price and now you own it. And so I do think that we will see, governments start to move more towards this like digital identity. And that being said, I do hope that we find something else to call it, because I feel like NFTs, non-fungible tokens, nobody has any idea what that actually means.
Sure.
So it's funny. I was at NFT London and I felt like everybody was talking about that we need a new name. So I don't know what that's going to be, if it's just, digital collectibles, digital identity. But I definitely think that in the next, I think it's going to happen fairly quickly. I feel like everything in the crypto space moves at the speed of light compared to what things used to be.
Yeah, it does. And it's all based off of the technology, right? And that opens that capability. So as you are looking into the future and at NFTs specifically, I'm curious how do you monetize your business in the world of NFTs, or are they just collectibles for you and it's kind of a side project?
For me, it's really just collectibles. I like to buy art. I like to buy ones that I like. They have to be, for me, they have to be visually appealing. But there are other projects and I like them. but they offer something. For example, there's Bulls and Apes project, that one of the things that I think is really cool that they're doing is, so not only do they have where you can go basically claim it. I'm not thrilled with what they call it because it's called meth, but so it's Bulls and Apes, and you are collecting methane. So if so they call it meth. So basically you log in every day and collect your meth, and then you can, that's worth something. And what they just did this within the past like couple weeks, that if you own other collections that they're partnering with, you can be rewarded with meth for that as well. So it's not just their project that they're rewarding you for, they're rewarding you for holding other projects as well, which I think is really cool. And, it's, as you mentioned before, we are in like, everything in crypto is down, NFTs are down. You're not really seeing a lot of activity, I guess, happening. But the Bulls and Apes project is one that is actually going up right now. And that's because of what they're doing, and they're innovating, and they're, giving back to their holders. And I think, a lot of projects, especially from what I see right now, a lot of them have been pretty quiet. And, I get it, but I still think that, and it is also the holidays too. So that makes things even harder. But
sure.
I think that a lot of projects need to, make sure they're keeping in touch with their people and staying connected, because, if they go radio silent, then I don't know. I think that they may, die off, but those that are still active and, holding your attention, which, I mean, there are a lot of projects that are still doing that. I would say, like, for me, it's the ones that, that keep giving you something in return for being a holder. Yeah.
One of the themes that I'm seeing as you're sharing all of these examples is you got us started on the episode today telling that story about ultimately realizing that you were making a choice to be in the corporate world, and therefore you could make a decision to move. And what I'm seeing in common with NFTs is it's like infinite possibility, right? And like, as you describe each of these NFTs and the bonuses that come along with that, and if you hold one of these NFTs, the things that, like, it's kind of anybody's game at this point, where you determine the rules of the game. If you create an NFT, you get to determine the rules of that game. And that's really exciting and fun. And it's a place to come and bring your creativity and bring your resourcefulness and create your own little world. And that's the other theme that I'm seeing as you describe all of this, is there's a lot of community that comes along with NFTs and that world. And I haven't been to at least a big conference. I did go to your conference here in Puerto Rico at that art gallery in San Juan, which was super cool. But I haven't been to any big conferences like what you've been talking about. But I would guess, since most of you are kind of pioneers and kind of the outliers, and most of your communities, that there's probably this strong sense of community when you get together at conferences and feeling like, oh, somebody who gets it, who understands this world, who's excited about it like I am, and who's driven to create the rules of this game. Do you see yourself ever creating an NFT? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. That's the thing, when we were talking before we started recording, that's the thing I can't really talk about.
Okay.
That I'm working on, but yes, definitely a work in progress for a project to be coming soon. There was a couple other things I was thinking about that I didn't mention, and that is, so a lot of the projects will give you IP of your NFT, so intellectual property, so you can do whatever you want with that image. And so a lot of people, for example, I actually just I guess, did I buy the NFT? I can't remember if I bought the NFT or if I had to like enter to win it. I can't remember. But Bugatti And the project that I'm thinking of is Fame Lady Squad, which is one of my favorite projects. I love the people and the community and all of them. But they did a partnership with Bugatti, and so you can get your Fame Lady on this little, like, it's like a little crossover body bag. It's cute. So, but they're also like bigger luggage, so you can have your NFT on a piece of luggage. I know, like, for example, I believe Old Navy bought Bored Apes, and so now I just don't know how else it could work if they didn't own the actual apes. But I know they're releasing t-shirts, so you can go buy, a Bored Ape t-shirt from Old Navy. Of course, it's not your ape, but
sure. Who knows? Maybe they're licensing it. That's usually how a company like that works.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not exactly sure. I know that it was announced like maybe even last year that they were doing that. I haven't been in an Old Navy. I haven't seen them, so I don't know.
We have some on the island, Erin.
I know. I saw it the other day. I was at the mall.
Yeah. So when it comes to crypto and NFTs, there's obviously a lot of conversation surrounding those topics, but what is it that you think people should be talking about, but they're not on these topics?
Well, I mean, I definitely think there's a lot of, we call it FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt around NFTs and crypto in general. I mean, especially with everything being down. I think the most important thing to think about, honestly, is just the fact that like we said, I mean, the things that you can do with NFTs it's whatever your mind can think of. And I really think that we have only scratched the surface as far as what can be done. I love it when, like, one of the things is like the partners, people coming together to work together with different, like I was just talking about, like Bugatti and the Fame Ladies, or like one of my favorite examples. I'm a huge music concert lover, and like I can't wait for one of my favorite bands to come out with an NFT that gives me access to them if I am a holder of that NFT at a concert, that they do something like, if you hold this NFT, you potentially get to do like a backstage meet and greet, or it's even like you get a free drink, or you get moved up to, the first 5 rows, or, just something special. You get a free concert poster. The sky's the limit with these things. And I can't wait to see more and more people understand, how big this will be and start implementing it.
Yeah. Which is so cool, right? Like, that's what drives you to share this message. And I'm guessing most of our audience has been observers standing on the sidelines watching NFTs. And for somebody who is interested in hopping into the world of NFTs, either as art form or as an investment, where would you suggest somebody start? Because that might be one of the biggest things stopping them, right? This is interesting to me, but where do I even begin?
Well, obviously, the Nifty Chicks, the Nifty Chicks YouTube channel or podcast, whichever, you prefer. We do, we've got some videos and out there tutorials for getting started on, a variety of platforms. But I mean, I guess what I would say is probably just go on to, OpenSea is the big dog as far as NFT sales platforms, or buying and selling NFTs. I would just go on OpenSea and look around and see what you like, see what catches your eye. There's a lot of times, like, I'll be looking at projects and just see what's happening with the prices. Are they going up? Are they going down? Like World of Women was one that I was watching for a really long time. there was a point when, NFTs were kind of at their all-time high. I think World of Women got up to either maybe even 12 ETH, which that would be around, well, I don't know what ETH was at that point, but it would be at least 12, probably $15,000 for that NFT. But then they came out with a series 2, which is that Wow Galaxy, which is like, they have the original Wows and then they have the series 2, which I think they did a little bit more. But basically with the Wow Galaxy, you get most of the things you got with an original Wow. So sometimes they'll have like things that are only available to the original series, which is, they're special because they're the OG. But yeah, I totally lost my train of thought there.
No, that was really good. So if somebody was looking specifically for art as an investment, what are some of the things that you would like? Is it beautiful? Isn't necessarily a required feature for an NFT to be valuable.
So I don't know that I'm the right person to ask for that, because I honestly, like Gen FT definitely is more about the investment side of things, whereas I'm really more about, is it pretty? Do I like it? Am I okay with, if this NFT goes to zero, am I okay with it? And
that's a good question.
Pretty much all of my NFTs, I'm okay with it going to zero. And quite honestly, a lot of the is in this market are pretty much there. I still believe in the projects. And I do think that when things, are on the upswing again, I think that these projects that I am holding and I'm invested in, I think that they will come back. I think that, like I said, the majority of my projects that I look at or hold right now are female led. And I think that more and more women will come into this space once they figure it out. There's, like all these brands, like, in fact, I'm supposed to have a call with somebody, like, now I can't remember which brand it is. But like makeup brands and, there's just so much, and like fashion. I've got like somebody I know that she did diamond handbags. And so it's digital fashion. So it's like digital bags that you can bring into metaverses and wear. There's another brand, Eyes of Fashion. And so it's like they make dresses for you to wear, and you buy them and then you can wear that in your metaverse that you're in. And I really think that we're going to see more and more of this. And I know that you are like me in the sense that, like, you want cute earrings and you want a nice necklace and you want to be able to pick out your outfit for the day and decide how your hair looks. Is it down? Is it up? Is it curly? Is it straight? These are all things that I think will continue to grow in this world. And, I really think that we're going to see more people going into the metaverses, spending our lives in, these virtual spaces. And you're going to want to be unique and have, a different, you don't want to go in there and, only have the same choices that everybody else has. And then everybody looks the same, it's just like we are in real life.
Yeah. I love this perspective. And I think it's important to identify, if you do come into the space, why it matters to you. And, what I'm all about people finding a place, especially in their profession, finding a place that really lights you up. And I can tell that the NFT space and the NFT art really does light you up, and that's exciting for you. And it's created this opportunity to share a message that you're really passionate about. And in that process, also making connections with people and being a part of communities, which I think is just so important as human beings, right? To have our communities and people where we have connection and common ground with, and what a really incredible space. And I think that we're in the middle of a cycle right now, and during times of volatility, there's tremendous opportunity. And in a lot of ways, we don't even know what is going to happen on the other side of this. And we don't necessarily know what the opportunities are. But if you're in it, you're participating and you're building that network and community, then when the opportunity arises, you'll be able to do something about it, right? But if we're just on the sidelines and not participating, by the time we actually finally dip our toe into this world that our physical world is definitely headed towards, we won't be on the forefront, right? We won't be one of the ones who creates generational wealth or puts ourselves at the top of our industry,
right?
Because we stood on the sidelines for too long.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, that's one of the things that we talk about on the show is just, like, we want women to get in this now and start learning about it now, because we are still so early. So like, you hear people like, man, I really wish I would have known about Bitcoin in 2010 or 11.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure I feel like I was in those types of conversations with people then. Like, I feel like I have pretty much surrounded myself around smart people, but obviously I wasn't paying attention. I didn't listen. And I mean, even if I would have been like 2013 or 2014, but nope, I didn't. I didn't really find out about it until 2017, 2018. That's when I invested. So if you are just now hearing about NFTs, you are still early. Like, there's still time to get in there and learn about them and, be a part of this, because it's not going away.
And in a lot of ways, it's better to be getting in now than later, because a lot of times you look at many different industries, the very, very, very first people kind of get destroyed a lot of times, right? It's the early pioneers. They kind of prove the concept, but aren't necessarily able to fully capitalize on it like the next people come up behind them. Right. And so there's never been a better time to get into crypto and NFTs. And I mean, I did know about crypto. What year was that? 2010, 2011. My brother actually created a crypto documentary and raised money and converted it all to Bitcoin and then spent it.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
that was the whole basis of the documentary. Sorry, Austin, I can't remember what you were married. It was like when I was pregnant with my daughter, who's 9. So I guess it probably was about 2013. And they spent all the money. And it's wild to think about it now. Like, he literally got a taxi from Salt Lake City to Provo and like paid 1 Bitcoin to get down there.
Oh, God.
Like, I know.
That was an expensive cab ride.
paid his rent in Bitcoin and bought his groceries in Bitcoin. Yeah, it was a very fun experiment.
Wow.
But the point being, like, that to your point, that was the early stages. And now it has, again, we're on a down cycle right now, but now it has enough awareness that this next upturn, it's really going to take off beyond where it's ever been. And today everything's on sale. So if you want to get in, now's the time, and just get in knowing that you might not access that money for 5 or 10 years, but you are going to be so glad you did it and you held on to it. And I think NFTs is a great way to do that, and to, participate in the blockchain and participate in your future. Yeah. So any last messages that you want to share with our audience, Erin?
I would just add to what you just said, and just, make sure that whatever you're investing, if you're investing, is something that you're willing to lose, or, like, obviously don't not pay your mortgage or not pay your rent in order to, buy some Bitcoin. But
Yeah.
I mean, that is with all investments, right?
Yeah. And it's so funny. Like, I remember many times throughout my own entrepreneurial journey, times I felt like I was late to the game. Like when I started my Instagram channel in 2011, like I thought I'd already missed the wave of Instagram. Or I was talking to a friend, we went to dinner this last week, and he got into buying domain names in 98, and he thought he would had missed his opportunity. So everybody always feels that. But at the same time, there's some piece of you, that intuition that says, hey, there's something here, go participate. And I would say, listen to that, and know that everyone feels like they're late. Nobody feels like they're early enough.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. So for people who want to go listen to Nifty Chicks, it's you and Gen FT. Where are the best places that you guys are active on social channels? You mentioned YouTube. What's your YouTube channel?
Twitter, Instagram are our main, and we're at the Nifty Chicks on all of those.
Okay. And we'll have links down in the show notes for everybody who wants to go follow Erin, check out Erin and the cool NFT events and artwork that she's collecting. Go follow her journey, especially for women who want to, if you've even just been curious and wanting to get immersed in this world, Erin's a great person to go follow and be a part of her world and learn from her.
Well, thanks, Katie.
Yeah. And for everybody who's listening, this is What's Working Now.